Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Total War Warhammer 2, where I think I figured out what we need to do here. The fact is, Bel Aliad is way too important to us, and there not being a Skaven army on our border is also way too important to us for us to be focused on anything else right now. But the best way of removing these Skaven, I'm pretty sure, involves Tiktaq'to leveling up one more time before we fight them. So, I think that what we want to do is fall back and engage with this Knights of Origo army, led by Sir John the Devoted, use the experience from that battle to push up to level 11, and grab Lightning Strike, which will allow us to attack the Skaven army outside their settlement without pulling in an extra entire stack worth of reinforcements, and then, depending on how that battle goes, we may be able to challenge them at Bel Aliad, even with their army inside the settlement still, or we may have to try to bait them out, but like, taking this has to be our current goal. So, Sir Jonathan Devoted over here is pretty far away from Xandri. Can we see his movement range? No, we cannot. Because he's currently in a movement mode that has no movement, we don't get an indication of what his normal campaign movement range is. If he was just like in walk mode, we'd be able to see what his walk mode movement range is. But based on the fact that this is as far as we can walk in normal mode, I'm going to assume he can't get to Xandri this turn. So let's fall back towards Xandri as far as we can while still being able to go into ambush mode afterward. We're going to drop into ambush here. And to be clear, I do not think there's any chance that he wanders into us. We're doing this so that he doesn't see our army when he's figuring out his move, so that he sees that Xandri is still undefended, and he goes directly for it, and then we can pounce on him on our next turn. Fingers crossed. That plan's gonna rely on a couple of dice rolls. All right, so we have some money. We should do some things with our money. Do we want to pull in the Regiment of Renown? If we do that, we'll have a full army ready to go to fight him, but we won't have room for the hero to rejoin the army. You know what? That's not a decision we need to make right now. There's no chance... I don't think there's any chance at all this army gets involved in a combat on this coming turn. I think even if he sees us here, I don't think he'll be able to walk this distance to attack us. So we'll just figure it out next turn. And the benefit of not doing the recruiting this turn is that we save ourselves 170 upkeep, right? Okay, so what do we do with our money? Well, Xandri's going to need walls, I'm pretty sure. Or not walls, because we can't do walls, but it's going to need an expanded garrison, because it is on the open ocean, exposed to attack from all sides, and we are surrounded by people who either already are at war with us, or who are definitely going to be at war with us soon. Then we should probably have a quick look at the provinces view here, and see how's our public order doing everywhere. Down in the land of the dervishes, we are 2 turns away from having better public order, or additional public order, which will mean that we are probably cool to turn taxation on here again. In a couple turns, this will be a positive number even with taxes on, and I'd really like that extra money. We need every gold coin we can get at this moment. In the western jungles, we are positive even with taxation on. That's great, that number's just going to climb. Here in the Great Desert of Araby, we're in a little bit of trouble, public order-wise, and there's a couple of things we can do about that. We could, of course, build another public order building somewhere. We can turn off taxation, but, like, in the long term, the best thing we can do is clear Bel Aliad. Because, yeah, we're taking -7 corruption, or we're taking -7 public order per turn from the corruption. If we manage to get rid of Bel Aliad, this region would already be positive. I think I'm going to turn off taxation here for a couple of turns, just so that we don't have it hit a rebellion, because I don't have time to go back and fight that rebel army. I should note, if you are in a good position... Well, hold on, we'll talk about this in a moment. I do think we want to get the upgrade here. This will give us an extra point of public order from the settlement building. They gain public order as they get upgraded. And a little bit more growth. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable use for our money here. Okay, and then with that, I think we're done for the turn. So what I was going to say is that if you are in position to be able to fight the rebel armies, it is totally reasonable to let a province rebel intentionally, because fighting a rebel army yields the same rewards as fighting any other army. You know, you get a bunch of gold, you get a bunch of experience. It can actually be a really good way to level up a low-level lord, But right now, we only have one army. We're not really in position to fight them, and our one army is busy. It has to be both mobile and elsewhere, so we're not really in a good position here to just bash rebels. So at the beginning of the Knights of Origo's turn, they're going to roll the die and either see us or not see us. If they don't see us, I'm hoping that they'll head for Zandri. If they do see us, I actually have no idea what they'll do. It's possible that they'll still go for Zandri, just thinking that they can take us. And if that happens, I'll probably be a little bit nervous, because if they think they can take us, they might be right. Alright, the armies of Clan Ash should, as always, do absolutely nothing, just sort of idly walking back and forth directly outside their settlement. Where is that second group of Bretonnians? Is it right after all of the northern nations? No, man, there are a lot of people in this game. So we have that Ripperdactyl upgrade going in the main settlement. I'm very excited to see what those are, because we don't really have a lot of good actual, like, melee troop-holding ability in our flyers right now. That said, I think the Ripperdactyls probably will not have the rock-dropping ability. I think that the bonus rock-dropping ability from our Lord only affects Pterodon units. Maggot Cracktooth is trespassing in my territory. Oh, interesting. What is he doing? He's not going down there to attack, because he's in march mode. What on earth? Why would you intentionally get closer to a Skaven army of that size? Are those guys allied, maybe? Hard to imagine Bretonnians allying with Skaven. We'll check out the diplomatic situation in a moment here when the turn starts. But that's weird. That is not what I was expecting to happen. Okay, raise or sack a settlement in order to get a blessed Carnosaur. The messenger, Uxmak, will bring word of the old ones. The cohorts must be prepared, and if they are, a sacred spawning will be awarded. Well, I do want a cool dinosaur. That sounds pretty alright. So I guess maybe they're headed for El Calabad? Okay, for right now, I think what we're going to do is just move down here. If I move down here, do I think they might be in range to attack us? I guess I'd be okay with that, though. Like, we'll move down here, we'll have the hero come back and rejoin the army. What is it that our hero can do against armies? He can hinder their replenishment. Okay. Not super relevant, considering that they're at full health right now and they don't need any replenishment. You just come back and join up so that you can participate in combat if combat occurs. Actually, do I want to march a little bit? No, probably not. Let's stay in normal movement mode. Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're just headed for El Calabad.
What vile filth stands before me?
They don't have any treaties with the Skaven or anything. Man, we might get really lucky here. If the Skaven were to now attack them, that would be really great for us. Also, we're aware of a human realm to the north.
Yes. Deliver your message.
That is connected by our port. Can we maybe be cool friends?
So be it.
Okay, that's a good start. So, you can see here, we now have a plus 15 diplomacy modifier for having a positive treaty with them. The more treaties you have, the more points you get from this modifier. So this is a good start on the road to positive relations that might eventually lead to a proper trade agreement, which might be worth a fair amount of money, because we have some trade goods and they have some trade goods, and international trade can be very, very valuable. Now, somebody in the comments of the last episode pointed out that it's probably a good idea for us to send a hero out through our port to explore the world so that we can try to get trade routes with as many port owners as possible, and I think that's a really good idea. We're going to have to figure out how to get another hero, though, because I'd like to keep our current hero on combat duty. Maybe he ends up doing that. Let's see, what hero types do we have? Oh, we actually can recruit a second Skink Chief right now. What did I do that gave me... Oh, did the Salamander enclosure increase my hero capacity +1? Okay, cool. Well, let's do that then. Let's get another chief right now. This chief is probably going to stay on the map and not join up with an army. So, like, yeah, campaign movement range plus 5% is potentially the sort of thing that we want. And in fact, none of these skills are super relevant aside from that. So, Uldo Morin, welcome to the team. Alright, when El Calabad finishes upgrading, there's a chance that we build a public order building here. I don't really want to, because we know that we're already going to be fine if we can just get rid of Bel Aliad, and I'd prefer to save that money for something else. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what we can get away with. So I'm very curious what this Knights of Origo army is going to do now. If they just run through toward El Calabad, I think we're in pretty good shape there. Did that mission want me to just... Yeah, just raise or sack. So when we take Bel Aliad, we'll raise it and then rebuild it, maybe? Because I definitely want to do this. Like, we do not have natural access to Carnosaurs. That is a pretty big dinosaur. If I'm remembering correctly, the Carnosaur is the one that looks like a big T-Rex. So that would probably be a pretty fun thing to have. The Salamanders are weird units. They're sort of like, when we recruited them, I was just like, oh, it's a dinosaur. It'll be good at fighting people. But they're kind of not, right? Well, what we discovered is that they don't actually do that well in melee combat. And maybe it's just because they were fighting Ushabti, who are pretty good fighters. But it seems that, like, they're weird sort of artillery cavalry, almost. They're way faster than artillery, but their role feels kind of artillery-like with the explosions and, like, fast-moving, short-range artillery. Which is a neat idea for a unit, especially a unit that is also a dinosaur. Once we have Lightning Strike on Tiktaq'to, we'll put one more line into the blue point for sure, because we will have unlocked the capstone skill, which gives extra movement range and upkeep reduction. It's like the best skill. And then after that, we might put more points into the blue line because there is that replenishment rate skill, but we also might start down the red line. I don't know that I necessarily want to buff Tiktaq'to's individual combat skill. Well, I guess he is unusually bad at standing in melee combat for a lord. What on earth are they doing? Wait, did he just fire units from his army? I think the strength bar next to his army went down. Okay, we got our 10% weapon strength for our red-crested skinks.
Do you take me for a child?
Yeah, he sure did. He was at 18 before, and he's at 16 now. So he's recruiting right now. He's trying to recruit something new, and he's freeing up spaces for it. He's not in his own territory, so he's using the global recruitment pool, which means he's probably locked in place for 2 turns. Maybe we go now. The Skaven are going to hate us for trespassing, but I'm planning to attack them anyway, so... Yeah, what if we once again move just far enough to allow us to be in ambush mode? And my hope here, again, is mostly that we will remain invisible more than that we will actually catch somebody ambushing. I'm glad we took that ambush chance modifier. You are just headed for the port as quickly as possible. Alright, so we finished this line. We can't get into the next thing yet, so we literally only have one option. Let's research it. You know, honestly, this would have been a pretty cool turn to have access to the Red Utsunki. A double move here would totally have been valuable. Let's hope that he doesn't see us, that he just continues on with his plan, because we can definitely take him with the... We have a significant numbers advantage, in addition to many of his units being pretty bad. Although, again, my army is entirely skinks, so I guess I'm kind of throwing stones in glass houses here. Alright, I don't know that we want to upgrade anything here. Sudenberg is producing money for us, and that's really all I can ask of them. Each of the port buildings provides money and a little bit of growth, and then we have this going. Buildings like this, buildings that say income generated on them, only function when the region is being taxed. So it's important to make sure you keep taxation on in regions with those buildings where you can. You know, maybe we don't spend any money on building stuff this turn. Yeah, I think we're just saving up. Like, the Pools of Despair is about to have a building slot open. Yep, I think we're just saving. We do have access to the Rite of Ferocity again, but we don't need to do that. That is very expensive. I suppose it needs to be. Because free army of huge dinosaurs. Well, it's not free. It needs to be because that's what you're paying for the army of huge dinosaurs. Yeah, I guess we don't have anything else to do. So here's hoping this that we remain hidden. It's possible that Clan Eshin could declare on us this turn, especially if our ambush doesn't work on them. And if they do, then I guess we're going to find out exactly how good Skaven armies are against us, because probably the way that ends up is with both of their stacks against us. I didn't really think that through all the way. That's actually really bad. If Eshin were to declare war and bring both of their stacks forward against us, it could mean the total loss of this army, which would then result in probably the loss of some of this stuff, although we're going to be able to start building the Pools of Despair walls next turn, so who knows, maybe we'd be able to hold on to that. Maybe they would get done in time. I think we still have that modifier that's increasing our build time while lowering our building costs, though. Yep, our ambush is foiled. One of the enemy armies saw through our brilliant plan. Notice that Clan Eshin is represented as being lower on the balance of power, despite the fact that they have two full armies, or two almost full armies. Which I guess tells me that maybe we would be successful, at least suggests that the game thinks we would be successful fighting their armies one by one. Yeah, I guess I don't want to misrepresent the situation here. We will win. We will beat that army if we're able to go our 20 units versus their 20 units. We definitely will. It's not a question of whether we'll win, it's whether we'll win by enough to make it possible for us to just push on the settlement quickly afterward, or whether we'd have to fall back to a place that has real replenishment. We do have some growth buildings in this province, so I think we just have one, but still, that might be good enough. Top Knots are moving a lot of troops around near my border, which definitely makes me nervous, but I think they're still busy with Khemri, probably. See, what I'd really like to do is take the city of Khemri while it is still owned by the player faction called Khemri, because with them having one settlement, if we take their settlement, then we're not looking at any potential further consequences, right? If the orcs take it first, and then we have to go to war with them for it, then after we take it, we're still at war with this huge group of orcs. Oh dear, one shot. Your Slan Mage Priest researches reveal the whereabouts of a distant but accessible plaque, recording a ritual usable once, which will powerfully defend your greatest Saurus Scar veteran against agents of the ancient enemy. Is it worth sending an expedition, especially to retrieve this one-off advantage? What does it do exactly? Lowers enemy hero action success chance for 14 turns. No, I'm not paying 2,000 gold for that. Perhaps later. In this occasion, the plan can wait. I'm a real the plan can go screw itself kind of guy, honestly. Oh dear. Storm clouds gather in the north. There are rumors that the barbarous tribes residing in the shadow of chaos have ceased striving against each other for the attention of the dark gods, and are instead banding together, suckling at the teat of chaos, which is very gross as far as teats go. The hordes grow in strength. It seems only a matter of time before the dam breaks and a tide of ruin bursts forth to engulf the old world, corrupting or destroying all in its path. Marshal your strength, nurture the sinews of war, build your walls high, gather warriors to your banner, and temper them in the crucible of battle, so that when the time comes you may yet weather the storm. We are as far from the north as it is possible to be, but when the Chaos Invasion begins, it is still going to be a problem for us, in a way that you will see when it happens. It's definitely not something I'm going to spend any time thinking about right now. Also, Bray Herds. Out of the forest they emerge, the horned beasts that stand upright in a vile parody of man. They are the Cloven Ones, the children of chaos, and they have come for us to tear down our civilization. The warherds are migrating and destroying anything in their path. Defend yourself. Show me these warherds. Oh, that seems like a real somebody else's problem. Okay. We have the movement, right? Yes, we do have the movement to engage with John the Devoted here. And I think we would be fools not to. Because if we, at the beginning of his turn, he's going to finish his recruitments, we have to assume. It's been 2 turns. So, sorry, Skaven, they're going to be real mad at us for all the trespassing we're doing. Oh, I think we don't quite have the... Oh, maybe we do, maybe we do. Nope. We don't quite have the range to punish him this turn. That sucks. Well, the good news is we broke his reinforcing stance, so he has stopped recruiting his units, and he's actually taking attrition damage out here because he is not good at desert. Not the way we are. Alright, we're already trespassing across the Skaven territory like mad. It probably won't really change things to do it a little bit more. But maybe I want to be like, oh, you know what? Heroes don't get in trouble for trespassing. It's only lords. So yeah, we'll cut through their territory on the way up to our dock. And we should definitely do that with our money. Need to get that building going. And we have an extra building slot in the Pools of Despair now. Do we want to... What do we want to put in here? We could throw a recruitment building down and give ourselves some northern recruitment. Or we could grab, like I said, I don't really want a public order building. I sorta... What does this do? It unlocks the Tablet of War and increases the income from all buildings in this province. That's not a bad thing to have in a province that has 4 cities and so can build a lot of industry buildings, and also that is going to have a gold mine. And it's quite cheap to build. What does the Tablet of War do? Plus 5% income from post-battle loot, plus 3 leadership for everybody, plus 10% campaign movement range for everybody. That's actually a pretty good tablet as far as great magical tablets go. Yeah, sure. Build me a cool stone marker. We gotta get taxation turned back on here soon, because we're losing a ton of money. As soon as Bel Aliad falls, we'll be good. So we have 1,300 gold left. Do I just hold it? I think we just hold it. Yeah, one of the big benefits of just holding it is that next turn we'll be over the 2,500 gold needed for a double move in case the knights do something wild. We actually have them pretty trapped here, though. They don't have a lot of good options for escaping from us. To be honest with you, though, I was not hoping that it was going to take this long to deal with them. I don't exactly know how it works, but I know that the most recent update added the ability for Skaven to build settlements under other players' settlements. So, like, the longer the Skaven are alive, the greater the chance that they're building out underneath our stuff and preparing invasions or crazy rat super weapons, because the Skaven definitely have like a sort of a mad scientist theme going on. Every moment that Bel Aliad remains under Clan Eshin control, every moment that Clan Eshin lives, basically, there are a whole lot of things going very poorly for us. So these Knights of Origo need to stop running away and just stand and fight us. It is worth noting that Bretonnian realms like that, they have a whole chivalry and honor thing, and I do believe that they pay a penalty for retreating. I don't remember exactly what it was, because I haven't played Bretonnia since before the second game came out. But my memory is that there are reasons that you don't want to retreat as Bretonnia, so hopefully we're screwing up all their stuff by making them run away from us. And hopefully the penalties for retreating are so strong that they will decline to do it on the next occasion. Who knows? Now, I believe it is still the case that AI factions on Very Hard suffer a lot less from attrition than the player does. So while it is cool that they're taking some desert attrition here, if you saw when we were looking at their army briefly during the last turn, it's only going to damage them a very, very small amount. Interesting. That doesn't look like it's far enough away for me not to be able to chase him. I'm hoping we will not have to use our double move, because it is a lot of gold. If we have to use it to catch them, I will use it, because we definitely need to get done with this. But I am hopeful that it will not be necessary. Nope, it is totally necessary. Okay. Yep, and we're trespassing a lot. Enough of this. Enough of this running away. Alright, so they've spent a couple of rough turns in the desert. Wow. And they're in march mode. I think we might take an auto-resolve here. I don't think this battle's going to be terribly interesting. It's just a bunch of really weak land units. I think we can skip this one to more quickly get to the part where we're killing Skaven. When the balance of power bar is all the way over like that, it's usually pretty safe to just take an auto-resolve. We took a lot of damage on our red-crested skinks. Probably, you know what? I was going to say probably more than we would have if I'd been commanding manually, but I don't know that that's true. Let's go ahead and kill and eat the captives. We've become a confident attacker. Because we've achieved victory from so many offensive battles, +2 leadership for the whole army when attacking, and plus 10% to Tiktaq'to's leadership aura size. There's one of the things that I really like about the game is that your characters gain these traits based on what they're actually doing, that then improve their ability to keep doing that thing. It's a neat system. So let's level you up. We're going to grab Lightning Strike, as was the plan. My great plan has to be followed. The great plan we can ignore whenever we feel like it. So we definitely need to fall back. Where is the growth building? I can't remember if these buildings give plus replenishment rate in the whole province, or if they just give it in their region. It's in the Black Tower of Archon, which we're just not going to be able to reach. Okay, so let's just barely get back over the border here. And then we don't have enough movement left to go into replenishment mode. So actually, we'll march back into a friendly settlement. You get more replenishment in settlements than you do just out on the land. And actually, we can be ready to go again next turn at this replenishment rate. Because everybody else is going to refill completely. You know what? I'm going to march back out of the settlement. I wasn't thinking about it. But these units are going to replenish completely. We can just fold these two units together next turn and then grab our Regiment of Renown, and we'll be ready to rock. And with 2,200 gold, we are... Did I not say... Oh no, I set that to build in the Pools of Despair, right? Well, we could just upgrade our money-making capabilities. Oh, we have Ripperdactyls available. Alright, I don't think we want to mess with Ripperdactyls right now, because like we want to keep moving aggressively, but we're going to do that soon. So what do we want to do with this money? How far are we from... oh, actually, the only thing holding us back from improving the Plain of Tuskers is that we don't have the cash. Alright, I think this is what we'll do with our money. Let's just not spend anything this turn, and then next turn I think we'll have enough... No, next turn we will not have enough to both hire the Regiment of Renown and do that building. So I guess we're going to be waiting 2 turns on that building. Alright, well, it's not ideal, but what can we do with it? Or what can we do about it, rather? So it looks like the buff to our replenishment rate has ended. The building cost down, building time up buff has ended. We're probably not going to be able to attack this turn, but we'll be able to move in this turn, get into ambush mode near the city, and then attack on the turn after this coming one. And I know I'm relying a lot on our ambushes to confuse the AI, but if you take the ambush chance up skill, it actually works a lot of the time. Especially with this terrain being remarkably ambush friendly. It is, of course, somewhat less effective against other humans if you play a competitive campaign. Your army still does become invisible to them, but, you know, because they're watching, they can see where your army moved to and then just disappeared. But the fact that they know where your army is doesn't make them able to avoid the ambush necessarily, or rather doesn't make them able to just like ignore it. Because if they fail their roll to see you, they can still know exactly where your army is, but if they get anywhere near it, you get to launch that ambush on them, so they mostly just have to route around you. It's not useless, it's just less effective. Then again, maybe they're, tabbed out during your turn or something. It's possible that you could just sneak up on them. It might work. I've never played a competitive campaign. It seems like you would have to have a friend who is way, way into this stuff and also has a lot of free time, because these campaigns can get very long. This Clan Ashen army, I feel like they've been mustering this entire time, but they've also been basically full the entire time. I don't know what they're doing. I wonder if they're, like, disbanding units and then hiring new ones in the same slot over and over again or something. Maybe they're changing their ideas repeatedly about what good army composition looks like. Alright, got ourselves a new tech. We are not quite able to start on the Tablets of War yet, and Sequence of the Artisan is not a bad thing to have, certainly. Alright, so this guy is going to go get in the water. Oh, there are these little points of interest you can interact with an army out on the water, and sometimes they could have quite a lot of money in them. If we weren't so busy, Alright, so let's fold these two together. Disband the remainder of the unit population. Grab these red-crested skinks and get moving. So we'll move to here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to give us the movement range we need next turn. So we'll declare on them. Actually, do I want to declare on them now in the hopes of getting them to run over to the Pools of Despair? They'd probably go for El Calabat instead. That still might work for us, though. If we declare now... The danger of us declaring now, of course, is that the ambush could fail and then they could attack us with two armies. Let's just leave it undeclared so that we can launch the attack next turn and they're hopefully not too ready for it. Yeah, man, if we still had that building cost reduction, we would be able to start this turn. That's a shame. Well, we only need 3,200, so we can afford to spend up to 1,300 gold this turn and still make it. Is there anything I might want to spend 1,300 gold on? That's too expensive. That's too expensive. We could build... we could build a Saurus building. Sauruses are pretty good troops, in my experience. They're certainly frustrating to fight against. Or we could start up dye production. I'm going to do this. I'm not 100% clear on how much money this is actually going to generate. But it will be more valuable the more trade routes we have, and we're, out here working on that. Speaking of trade routes, let's check in with the border princes. So you can see, over time, your attitude value trends toward just the math you get from adding your positives and your negatives together. But it takes time, so it's probably going to be a couple more turns before the trade agreement is likely to work.
But our realm has riches.
Not in my name.
And you can see, the trade agreement is considerably more valuable for them than it is for us, because they have more stuff that we don't have than we have stuff that they don't have. So getting more trade goods really does increase the value of each of your trade contracts. Alright, let's see how stupid they are. Also, remember that winning the first battle against a Skaven force will give us a little payday, because we have this quest. So 1,500 gold right away. Which we sort of don't have an immediate use for, I guess, because we're already going to have enough money to upgrade the minor settlement in Sudenburg. Well, whatever. I'm sure we will find a use for it. If we could have attacked them this turn, I guess the only way we would have been able to pull that off is by using our double move here. But yeah, if we had managed to attack the Knights of Origo without having to spend it, we could have started the upgrade on the minor settlement building this turn. That's a little bit of a shame. We might not raise Bel Aliad. I was thinking if you sack a settlement you know, its garrison recovers to some degree the next turn. And so raising it means that we would definitely be able to just resettle Bel Aliad the next turn, but I guess it kind of depends on how well the battle goes. If our army comes out of it in reasonable shape, it probably makes more sense to sack it. You get a lot more money that way. And then to rebuild from a horribly burned town instead of having to rebuild from actually there are no buildings here anymore. We do need to have a quick look at their army composition just to make sure nothing important has changed, because they have been in and out of mustering mode over and over again. But I have high hopes that we will be able to defeat the army outside of Bel Aliad. If it goes really poorly, we're then going to need to march mode our army away to prevent the army that's actually inside the settlement from killing us. And we might not have the movement mode to actually get to safety. Or the movement amount left. We're just going to have to not screw up this battle, I guess. Yeah, the Knights of Arrigo are looking pretty weak, and they probably will be pretty weak for a while. They're going to have to slowly rebuild their army in their home settlements. So we probably don't need to be able to defend Zandri for a few more turns at least. Alright, and they have this hero following us around on the map, but not actually doing anything. Probably that indicates that they are, like, really having a hard time with money. Because if they had the money to pay their hero to attack us, they probably would be doing so. Okay, which direction do we want to go? Up here, we're just going to see more Southern Realms and stuff. We already know those guys. This port up here is naturally under the control of the dwarves, Barak Var. So maybe that would be a good way to start. But it also might be a good idea to have us sail up the coast, right? Yeah, let's just go up the coast. We might meet a whole bunch of people. Okay, this is interesting. So they have a half stack in their settlement and another stack recruiting outside, and between the two of them, not a single good unit. You know, men-at-arms are like, okay. 27 attack, 39 defense. That unit is fine. Okay, I think the time has come. Let's do it. It's possible they'll just run away, I guess. They might just run away. Hold on, I was going to look at their army composition. Nope, still really terrible. A lot of spears, so we got to keep the dinosaurs away from them. Oh wow, this army is way worse. Skaven slaves are just horrible. They are terrible units. Yeah, these guys are in trouble. Alright, so if we lightning strike, they don't get to bring in their reinforcements, and all of a sudden the battle's looking pretty good for us. And we are definitely going to do this one manually. We could auto-resolve this, but there's entertainment value in our first combat against a new force. And that was true for the Knights of Arrigo as well, but I don't necessarily think that the armies of man are very interesting to fight, except for proper Empire armies, which can have some really cool stuff in them. There's some really neat units in the Empire roster. A lot of cool gunpowder stuff. Steam tanks. Steam tanks are pretty fun to fight. So almost all of their units have spears. We're going to be pretty careful with our Cold One Riders, and of course we got to keep our Salamanders away from them. This is going to be a little bit different from the forces that we have been fighting, because first of all, these guys, like I said, are going to constantly lose their nerve and run away, and then come back at us from another angle later. And they're a lot faster than the forces we've been fighting. In fact, their normal units might be fast enough to just chase down our Skinks. 42 speed against 48. No, they're not quite. Skinks are pretty quick. Alright, how do we want to do this? They have no ranged units at all, so our flyer superiority is going to be hilariously effective. I saw some recommendations to let the battle lines meet before dropping the rocks. I get what you're saying, that the enemy will be stationary, but I'm a little nervous about friendly fire damage. Probably our Skinks are very crushable. Based on their size, that is my suspicion. So I would prefer not to drop the giant rocks on them. Alright, Alright, we're gonna have the cold ones try to like wheel around and scare the enemy from the back. Again, because we're talking about an enemy that has so little leadership, tactics that target the leadership are very, very effective. Our red-crested skinks should be able to just absolutely massacre any unit of these guys. We want the javelins on the outside so that they can kind of wrap around and throw from behind. And you guys may as well start right up front, especially since the enemy has no ranged. Okay, let us figure out, like, who do we care about? We care about spears mostly, right? So let's have the units of Fire Leech Bolas go in on the spears. Skaven units are highly populated and very dense, as you can see here. So I'm expecting these Fire Leech Bolas to be really, really effective. Because you are the other Fire Leech Bola guy. Okay. And then the other two can combine on a unit of spears, and our hero can just start in on the enemy lord. Is there a guy a caster? No, he's a warlord. So just a pretty good melee combatant. A lot of screaming. There's always a lot of screaming in Skaven battle. I have a little bit of a theory about what happened to Tiktaq'to in that battle where he almost got killed. I think what happened is we swooped in and we were attacking some little Khemri dudes in the back, and then their warlord came up and attacked us in the back, and we didn't turn around to fight him. If we're fighting a single enemy who is on foot, we've seen that Tiktaq'to can keep the guy knocked down almost all of the time. So I need to be aware of his position and exactly what he's fighting, and make sure he is looking at the thing that is attacking him. And then we're going to start the rock-dropping festivities with Tiktaq'to, since he has no other role. I'm sorry, did I not? You're not even the guy. You're not even Tiktaq'to. You, get in here. Did I not give these guys orders? I thought I had. Just blow up some spearmen. So we're definitely going to rock-drop, like... Oh, over here, this looks good. We're setting up a nice dense formation for us. Ah, the falling time was a little bit harsh. Okay, let's have you guys start falling back. Oh, I'm telling them to face the wrong way. Wait a minute. Not you. Okay. Start falling back. We're going to have the cold ones head out around the side. How fast are salamanders? 70, Jesus. Okay. So we can afford to have the salamanders run up and start spitting fire bile. By the way, notice, unprepared for lightning strike battle is a leadership modifier. I believe it's just -5 leadership on every unit in the enemy army. Against a low leadership force like this, pretty significant. And I think the rest of our guys are just going to wait for the skinks to come back into them. We got to keep a real careful eye on our units. We have a lot of people here who we do not want to get involved in melee combat. And then who was... I told one of these flying units to get back accidentally. Was it you? Who was that? Okay, it was these guys. When I said that, what I meant was continue to shoot at spears. Who is right here? You guys. You guys need to drop a rock right now. It's very effective. There it is. Oh no, sorry. Focus on spears. So what you're seeing, when you see the little guys with all the circles around them, that's them panicking and gaining their fear buff. So if we pull up the unit card, we might be able to see that. Yep, scurry away, plus 12% speed. They get a... This is disabled if their hit points are low. Okay, so as the unit begins to lose figures, it becomes even less effective in combat than it normally would due to figure loss. Are we still moving backwards? We are not still moving backwards. We need to continue moving backwards. Keep fighting, but we don't want to run backward too fast because we don't want to actually get out of range. We could just rush these dudes, I guess. Oh, they're Skaven slaves too. Yeah, we'll tear them apart. Alright, and who's on rock duty next? It's probably the other normal Pterodon unit. I want to let the Fire Leech Bolas keep firing while the enemies are kind of massed up here. You guys also back off. That's going to be pretty successful, I think. Yep. It's tough. It's tough to be low-tier Skaven. So you guys should fall all the way back through our force. This is absolutely fine. Actually, you know what? Lapse on those dudes. You can just run forward. Like, our red-crested skinks should be more than a match for even a couple units of basic clan rats. Basic clan rats are terrible fighters. We probably want to back the Cold One Riders out. They've done some good damage here, but the spears are starting to show up. Let's back out and set up another charge. And who wants to throw their stones next? How is Roxburgh doing against that lord? He's actually got some significant damage on him. Let's have Roxburgh run forward and stone drop this unit of spearmen real quick, and then he can get back on his job. Actually, never mind. Get over here. Look at how tightly grouped they are. This is going to be really good. Make sure that we give some time for the stone to drop. And I'm going to have Tiktaq'to, I think, rush their lord now. As he's entering battle, this seems like the moment. Alright, now that the red-crested skinks are engaged a little bit more, we want to get our blowgun guys back into positions where they can actually be doing some bodily harm. This is pretty good. Yeah, I told you guys to attack there, and then you kind of got hung up a little bit on incoming. Reform just a little bit. Fire into the flanks of these enemies, and see, yeah, you can see, like, their battle lines break, and these guys are already starting to recover, and that's just going to keep happening. Let's make sure we have the Fire Leech Bolas focused on the main part of the battle for a little bit. And then our normal Pterodon Riders can just shoot at anybody who's not retreating, I guess. Here, these guys. Have you run away? And the enemies who would have gotten close enough to threaten the Salamanders are instead panicking because, oh my god, those are dinosaurs and they shoot fire at us. I forgot about this, though. The Skaven can summon additional Skaven from under the ground. These are not... I use the word summon, but these are not summoned units. This is a real unit of clan rats that we will actually have to defeat in the normal way. I'm not anticipating it being too much of a problem. They're clan rats. They're not, not like legendary fighters. And they're slower than our skinks, but it's another thing that we have to keep track of. You notice I'm already pausing all of the time. All right, let's get in here and drop some rocks. We want to try to drop rocks carefully so as not to hit too many of our units. And that, what I want to do actually is back off and then come back in like this. There we go. Wow, that was effective. Holy crap. You guys still have rocks, so you can see a lot of these units are now permanently broken. What you're seeing there, to some degree, is that that cascade of leadership effect, where units see other nearby units panic, and that makes them panic. It is actually, it doesn't work the same on all units. So, like, the Skaven slaves have this trait, this expendable trait. No, I'm not done yet. I'm dropping these last rocks. Also, where's their lord? Are we still fighting their lord? Whatever. I'm not going to stress about it too much, but I am dropping the rest of my rocks. Skaven slaves have a trait called expendable that actually makes it so other units don't panic as much when they see the Skaven slaves panic. Because it's like, well, of course those guys ran away. They're cowards, even relative to us. So we took 110 losses there. It was almost entirely in this one skink cohort. Alright, I feel very confident in our ability to take this settlement. I think we totally have this under control. And yeah, look at that. The units of red-crested skinks just racking up the kills. The amount of experience that a unit gets from combat is actually based on kills, except for units that have XP bars like heroes and lords. So a unit that performs like this reliably is going to level up faster than the other units of its same type. Which is part of why you want to make sure you're spreading out kills. Like, you don't want one unit to be leeching all of the XP. Our hero didn't actually manage to get a single kill. He spent the entire battle just doing damage to Bilefitch. Because Skaven have serious leadership issues, eliminating their lord is like crazy effective. It is often the case that you'll have a whole battle line going with some Skaven, and you'll drop their lord with a good attack, and the entire melee line will just break and flee for a couple of seconds. And in early engagements like this, where the battle line is their entire army, this will take us back to full health, so we're going to do it, but I really don't think you should eat Skaven. But yeah, in early engagements like this, where almost all of their army is melee troops, obviously that means they lose the battle immediately. Later on, they're going to have access to like fancy gun units and cool artillery. Those things won't break as easily because they won't be near that big leadership cascade, and so they'll keep the army in the battle until the melee troops can recover and turn around. Alright, got ourselves our 1500 gold. Now we must embed a Skink Priest hero into Tiktaq'to's army. We don't have the ability to hire those yet. After tracking down the wretched rat spawn and immediately putting an end to their worthless lives, Tiktaq'to and his pterodon riders learn of an even larger Skaven presence here in the jungle. But their vast underground network of tunnels is masking their whereabouts from any flying above ground. The Master of Skies knows he is close, but now he needs the specialized expertise of another. He needs the aid of a Skink Priest, one able to swiftly use the winds of magic to pinpoint the deadly vermin's filthy, disgusting lair, before he and his noble riders wipe it from the face of Lustria. Okay, so like I said, we're going to take Renowned and Feared here, because it's just a very, very good skill. It kind of does a little bit of everything. And I don't know what we're going to take after that, but it's probably going to be pretty army-focused, rather than trying to make Tiktaq'to himself a better fighter. So do we want speed, charge bonus, ammunition, or weapon strength? And remember, weapon strength just refers to the melee weapon. Okay, we don't have to make any mount decisions for a long time. You know, we could pick up missile resistance on him, though. That would probably be pretty valuable. Because the only way this guy's going to get taken down is by being shot at. We'll get that later. For right now, honestly, plus speed is maybe the best thing that... the thing that's most going to boost his actual combat effectiveness. Alright, the army doesn't have enough movement to chase down Bilefitch. But we could take our still full health army and just hit Bel-Aliad, and... man, this is where I'd really like to be able to just occupy the settlement, but I want that Carnosaur very badly. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna attack the settlement, and we're probably just gonna sack it. Interestingly, the game feels like this is going to go a lot better for them, despite this battle not being hugely different. I guess they have a lot more missile troops. Well, make it a lightning strike, even though it being a lightning strike doesn't have any effect on the reinforcements, just for that little bit of a leadership penalty. And let's do it. Hopefully... we could just raise the settlement, right? Maybe that will end up being the safer thing, because if we only sack it, then there'll be a little bit of a garrison left here for Bilefitch to use as reinforcements, and we don't get to use Lightning Strike on defense. So when he comes at us in a moment, it probably is going to end up being the case that we want to just raise this. Raise it, clear the land, and then rebuild it ourselves. The things I will do for a cool dinosaur. So these missile troops, these ones are Skaven Slave Slingers. They are terrible. They are the worst missile troops in the game. But they're still missile troops. They're still able to deal damage to our flyers, so we do have to watch out for that a little bit. There's a lot more cover here. So I talked a little bit about how some of the attacks and stuff are still governed by dice rolls, as though it was a little bit more of an RPG kind of thing. But I should note that the battle simulation engine here is actually pretty sophisticated, and it does do things like actually track the movement of in the individual projectiles. The projectile is not just an animation that's played over a die roll. The projectile does have to actually make contact for the damage roll and everything to occur in the first place. So, in situations like this where there are trees, the trees do block some percentage of the projectiles. So we have to be pretty careful about that in terms of using our blowguns. We don't actually have any idea where they are, but I mean, it's pretty safe to assume it's over in this direction. And you guys are up front. Yeah, we basically just want everybody to be as far forward as possible. Also, cavalry units are a lot less good at charging through heavily wooded areas. Okay, here we go. Here we have some visions. They have a lot of guys this time. Notice, very densely grouped, which is going to be good for us. Get the Fire Leech Bolas firing into... So notice that the units of Skaven Slave Slingers are a lot more loosely packed than the Clan Rats. The explosions will not do quite as much damage to them. And there's a couple other units of, like, decent... Yeah, here we go. Some Night Runners over here. We should shoot at them. And there are... Are those the only good ranged units? What is this? This is Clan Rat Spears on top of a Warlock Engineer. So they have a Wizard on top of their Warlord. That's just slingers. That's just slingers. Okay. I guess I'm going to have multiple units focus on the good range. Let's try to get rid of those guys as much as possible. And they will also be the first targets for the rock drops. Now our Skink Chief probably start in on their Wizard first, I think. Warlock Engineers can call down some pretty heinous stuff. I would like to be rid of it as quickly as possible. Okay, you can see they're engaging in some actual tactics here. Keep an eye out. See, they're so weak that even just our terrible blowgun darts are actually doing meaningful damage. It's pretty great. And are you in rock? You're very close to rock drop. I'm gonna make sure I'm clicking on the ground, not on an enemy unit. Okay, so his rock is out, and now you guys are in pretty good position. Yeah, I think we don't actually have to command them to move through. They're just naturally flying over a very thick knot of enemies here. Who else needs... Okay, you definitely want to stay in on that Wizard. He's being a little bit aggressive. Trying to make sure that we get all of the rock drops in sensible locations as quickly as possible. I think running right here, trying to catch these guys. Is our move on this side. They're kind of like moving back and forth very erratically, which I guess is definitely going to affect my accuracy. So good on them. They figured out a plan. Huh. This drives me a little bit crazy about the banner system. Like, that guy right there is holding the banner, even though the mass of the unit is over here. I really wish the banner wasn't attached to one randomized figure in the unit, but rather, like, where the center of mass of the unit is. So you guys want to back off a little bit more. And the rest of the army is coming into play. So, Salamanders. I should have moved the Salamanders forward at the very beginning of the battle, because these hills are going to make things a little bit awkward. Probably run the red crested skinks forward to provide us some cover for a move up the hill. You guys can move out alongside for the charge, and you guys are probably just going to end up in melee before you have a clean shot. Okay, more rocks. We have more rocks, and they must be dropped. You guys are in pretty good rock dropping position. Yep, that was alright. Victory is in our grasp. The enemy is panicking badly. Let's have him move a little bit this way. Yep, right there. That's good. And get back on harassing their wizard. They've spawned some clan rats behind... Okay, just turn around and give them the axe. Shouldn't be a big problem. Are we still attacking the right units? Yeah, okay, we got those guys pretty busted up. And take our Fire Leech Bolas over to those Night Runners. You can, I guess, just get to work on them. And Tic-Tac-Toe, I'm going to have him fly forward. I'm a little reluctant to have him actually, like, engage in the meat of the enemy. But we could get over here and do some fighting. So are we out of rocks? No. These guys have rocks. And actually, they're in a pretty good position to drop them. Let's readjust just a little bit. See, they're kind of... The Skaven are kind of spreading out. They're running back and forth really erratically. Okay, we did pretty good damage there. This might be a good time to stop focusing on their slingers and start focusing on their units that are actually engaging in battle. We managed to get our red-crested skinks far enough forward to start fighting them. These guys got too close to the dinosaurs and are panicking, which I love. That's very good for us. You're going to have these skinks turn around and attack these Skaven slaves from the back. When you do a move like this, we're going to have them run up and do that to get the flanking effect. There's a danger of you getting sandwiched as well, but the moment the Skaven slaves get attacked in the back, they'll break and flee. So then we can just turn around and fight these dudes properly. I think the dinosaurs fire in kind of an arc, so they should be able to shoot over our own troops here. And yeah, you guys are actually doing remarkably poorly here. It's like an even trade. How's that happening? We have our ranged in position to just go and mess with those slingers. So like them having a bunch of units spread out all over the map is going to help them stay in the battle even though we're breaking their morale all over the place. Where's Tiktaq'to? This wizard has engaged himself in melee combat. He is now a perfect charge target. But you can see, like, our flyers are starting to take some meaningful damage, even though the units we're fighting are very bad, just because there's so many of them. Also, I didn't realize we still had rocks left over here. Good lord. That should be against the law. Against the Warhammer law. I summoned another unit of rats. That's inconvenient, but probably not a huge deal. Let's get some of these blowgun guys into more useful positions. Probably like over here and over here. We can just fire at everything around. You can see there, they're winding up the warp lightning. They're trying to move some Skaven slaves into position to get these red-crested skinks into some trouble. I'm going to try to have the cold ones focus on driving the units on this side of the map off into the distance. Actually, focus on those Night Runners, probably. Alright, yeah, this Warp Lightning is probably going to be pretty effective because our units are grouped up in combat here. Definitely friendly fire. Just keep moving. Just never stop moving. Alright, their wizard is panicking. He's having a hard time fighting Tic-Tac-Toe. Or rather, he's having a hard time with Tic-Tac-Toe fighting his backside. I just have the Salamanders turn right around. I'm not too worried about these Skaven beating them in melee combat. You can see a lot of fleeing over here. Some of the units are permanently breaking. But we're going to see a lot of this thing where like they all break and run, and then they unbreak and decide that there's more to life than fleeing. Until they take any damage at all, and then they remember that fleeing's actually great. Fleeing totally rules. We're having some guys having some trouble. Yeah, those clan rats they summoned in our backfield are a little bit more effective than I would have liked. Their warlord is losing in combat against a unit of red-crested skinks, which is great for us. These guys have big weapons. Somebody stay on him. You guys need to get over here and help us poison out some of these enemies. Their slingers have the ability to move while firing in much the same way that our ranged units often do, so it's not a great idea to have us chasing them with melee units. Hey, did I say you could unbreak? Okay. Before the first fire shot even hit them, the second it came out of the Salamander's mouth, they were like, oh yeah, that's why I was running. That makes sense. And the primary thing going on with the Skaven here is that they're just very forgetful. Alright, we can certainly pursue their ranged units with our own ranged units, though. Tiktaq'to needs to get back into the battle somewhere. Where'd that lord go? Is he... No, okay, he's right there and desperately trying to flee. You guys should go and start harassing over here. I'm going to have the Fire Leech Bola flyers fall back, actually. They're taking too much fire. Taking too long to kill all of the little spread out rats. These guys are permanently broken. If we can just pursue them to the edge of the map and run them off, it doesn't matter whether they're permanently broken or just normally broken. They will flee. Actually, Tiktaq'to maybe needs to be over here. As much as I would love to kill their lord, I think we gotta keep the focus. Right, you guys attack there, you guys attack there. Doing my best to push them all off the map as quickly as we can. Alright, that's a permanent break, so you can get over here. These guys want to come back in. We'll have at them. Skink Chief has almost killed their wizard. That wizard does have a leadership aura, even though he's fleeing, I believe. But I think we're probably best off just ignoring him. And it looks like we're seeing a pretty, we're seeing a lot of wavering here. I think we're pretty close to breaking their whole army. Alright, Tiktaq'to. Yep, there they go. So you can see, like, they have a lot of health left, but because they have so many leadership problems, we're able to drive a lot of their units off the field while they're still very healthy. So we took a lot more damage that time. Still not terrible, though. If you're wondering why the health display for our flying units is so different on this screen than it was in the actual battle, I believe what's happening there is that on this screen, what you see in the health bar is just a representation of how many of the unit's individual figures are still alive. I believe once you go back to the army screen, the game no longer tracks the individual health of any entity. Any entity that was alive at the end of the battle is at full health once you're back on the map. But the number of entities in the unit still takes time to replenish. So, like, these guys look way healthier because none of the pterodons actually died, but they looked really wounded in battle because each of the pterodons was low on health. Wow. Just sacking the settlement and leaving it there really gives us a lot of money, but because their army was so healthy when they retreated, if we don't either occupy it or raise it, I think that army survives. I'm just going to burn the settlement so that they have no reinforcements. And then we'll rebuild it next turn. We have no movement left. Raising a settlement kills all of your movement. But now these guys have no settlements, so they're suffering attrition from that. They're suffering attrition from being in the desert. And yeah, I think they're just totally screwed. It is the case that they have no settlements left, right? Yes, 0. Okay. Alright, so on their turn they'll probably just fling themselves at us, and we will successfully defend because I'm not afraid of these rats. Definitely doing that with all of our money. And this is probably a good idea. Oh, we should upgrade the port building. It's an extra 150 gold and 10 more growth. But are we better off? Are we better off taking this upgrade first? How expensive is the port upgrade? 3K? It's the same cost. Okay. It does get us more money more quickly. Yeah, alright. Let's do that. We'll upgrade the Plain of Tuskers settlement structure shortly afterward. Alright, I think the elimination of Clan Eshin would be a fine place to end the episode here. We can see the Knights of Origo gearing up for round 2 in the distance. I'm not too worried. I have a lot of faith in our army at this point, especially when we add a Carnosaur to it. Which we will be able to do as soon as Bel Aliad is ours. I definitely, for the record, definitely would have just picked Occupy there if we didn't have a thing that required us to raise or sack a settlement. Also, I believe one of our goals for... one of our side objectives for the chapter was to complete 2 missions, which we have now done. So it's going to be worth a little bit of extra gold on top of the reward for the quest itself. So wait, we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So actually, raising Bel Aliad will have triggered the end of the chapter. So we're going to get really, really paid in a moment here when our turn starts. Oh, interesting. They didn't actually attack us. They just resettled. And they think they're going to get to replenish. Okay, well, we can fix that. That's a crazy thing to do, because resettling the settlement obviously costs them a bunch of people. They do have a settlement garrison now, but I believe it starts at low health, so this should be a really, really easy battle. And then we'll just occupy it from them. So they get to pay the recolonization cost. That actually works out really well for us. We're gonna have to be ready for the Knights of Origo. We can't necessarily attack that settlement super easily. I think it's hard to land on that island. Like you can get on from the south, but I think it might be a bunch of cliffs around the northwest and east sides. So we might actually want to go through Thagan's errantry to get over there. But again, if the Knights of Origo will put a small enough amount of pressure on us, it might be worthwhile to go after Khemri instead. Oh no, there's a beach on the north side. Okay, we could get on there that way. I bet this guy thinks he's going to sail over to Xandri. Xandri has a large enough garrison that it should not be able to fall to an army of that size, I think. Boy, Morsleep's Howlers really know how to take a turn. They were at that for a while. Okay, that's a huge amount of money. That's just extremely great. And we got a free Skink Priest. A Skink Priest of great skill has arisen from the sacred spawning pools and is now available for service. Well, that's extremely lucky. Okay, we know what that guy's doing. Alright. 10 more settlements and some new chapter objectives. Let's see. Build a Shrine of the Old Ones and a Geomantic Pylon. Win a bunch of battles. Get Tiktaq'to to level 15. I have no concerns about that. Isn't he 13 now? Like, that's definitely going to happen. Have 17 flyers. Obviously, you know, this is going to be a have multiple armies kind of thing. And have 3 missions completed, and it's counting the ones we already did. So, like, we're definitely going to get that. That's excellent. Okay. Let's finish this. Lightning Strike, yeah, so you can see the settlement garrison was created at pretty low strength. A lot of their units are... Oh, I forgot about this. There's a weird little thing that the AI get to abuse, where AI faction units replenish at the end of the AI's turn, but player units replenish at the beginning of the player turn for some reason. So these guys actually did get that full settlement replenishment. Obviously, we're still going to completely ruin them. Sure, they're healthier than it looked like they were going to be, but they're still less healthy than they were the first time we beat them and ended the battle at completely full health. So I think we'll be okay. We're a little worse for the wear as well. Yeah, in particular some of our melee troops, and it would be a real shame to lose these guys. Like, these guys have gotten all the way up to XP 5. We definitely want to try to be a little bit careful with our dudes here. Absolutely no range, so the flyers get to do whatever they want, which is awesome. Having flying units is really cool. I have never played with a ton of flying units, but it's working out pretty well for us down here. It would probably be less cool if we were fighting, like, the Empire or Elves, you know, people who have good ranged units low in their tech trees. Alright, well, I mean, let's just do the same thing that we've been doing. It's not impossible we lose some of these skirmishers. I would just replace them with chameleon skinks. It would be a net gain for my army. Oh, there are some small ranged units in the city garrison, right? Well, let's make sure the Fire Leech Bolas go after them first. They are very low on dudes here, which is a little bit of a shame in that the explosions won't be dealing as much damage as they could, but aside from that, pretty positive thing. And then you guys just attack whoever. Pretty much just whoever. Skink Chief goes after their one important character. Oh, actually, their lord is still wounded. They have a melee assassin guy. We're going to ignore him for the moment. Alright, let's get in here and drop some rocks. Get in here and do that one thing that we're good at. But we are, to be fair, we are really good at it. Oh, they have some stealthy dudes. Alright, so they're getting slowed. Their assassin's running off this way. I think I'm going to track him a little bit. Oh, I'm going to remember to move the salamanders forward. And do we want... I might leave some of the red-crested skinks back a little bit. I guess we don't want them to be too far away from the army, though, because if clan rats are summoned underneath them, I really, really would hate to lose them. We'll have one unit of javelins form up over here, and the other unit of javelins form up on the other side. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And these Cold One Riders have also been really good for us. Ah, it's a shame. The unit they're using to flank over here is actually spears. They're figuring it out. Alright, let's take control of some units and do some rock throwing. Wait until we're in the thick part of the enemy force. Get our heroes rock toss off too. You can see them all breaking and panicking each other. Look at it. You can see them. You can actually see the morale loss spreading. Okay. They did spawn dudes right behind my red-crested skinks. It was the unit I was afraid of it being. I'm just gonna have 2 units of guys deal with this. Let's just get rid of them quickly. And the salamanders need to find something to do, because the the half of the army they were going over here to fight ran away. The entire group of them. So yeah, I guess we just take these troops and move them up even further. Think that ends up being the play. Cold Ones have to find somebody to charge, and you have some rocks to distribute. It's a public service is what it is. The Skaven could never find rocks of this quality on their own. And we're not even charging for these. Kind of splitting up. Somebody taught them about not getting hit by rocks. It's a real shame for us. It's like sort of our one secret strategy. Where do we need rocks now? These guys are more spread out. Yeah, we don't really need them over here. I guess let's just keep dropping into this crowd. They're not all panicking yet. Wow, we have almost entirely eliminated that unit. Their assassin and some sword clan rats have gotten in on the Cold One Riders. We didn't get a proper charge there. I would like to fix that. These Pterodon Riders also still have rocks, so I guess, like, dropping on these guys makes sense. Turn around, there's a bunch more of them over there. There we go, that was pretty good. Ooh, they do not want my Cold One Riders getting away to perform a proper charge. That's actually not a bad place to summon guys. Their Warlord is trying to get in on us. Skink Chief's working on him. Tiktaq'to. Okay, it's chasing dudes around over there, which is perfectly reasonable, but I think this is probably a good time to come back and murder this Warlord. And we do not want our Salamanders directly fighting a unit who's actually kind of competent at melee. That bodes very poorly for us. Let's be throwing Fire Leech Bolas down into here. Where are the other Fire Leech Pola guys? You got the right target. You could fight those guys, and you, on the other side of the battle, could also get over here and fight these guys. Okay. Trying to make sure that we're throwing the explosives where it makes sense to throw the explosives. These red-crested skinks can form up and do a little bit of work. Remember that these guys can make themselves unable to die. It hasn't been very relevant so far because they're not getting fought by anything that matters. Here we go. Here's a good charge target. You see their leadership bar just disappear. Alright, well, fall back through. This is actually a little inconvenient here because those guys are spears and they are getting all the way in. But as soon as they get into melee with our dinosaurs, they have the fear problem. Yeah, I don't know how they think they're going to win this. Let's get a couple more of our ranged units, a couple more of our blowgun dudes over to here to fire into the flanks. This guy's doing a fine job, but we could just use more, a greater mass of blowgun darts. And fire down onto these guys. Let's try to break some of these dudes up. Okay, I think things are going as they should go, pretty much. Yeah, despite the fact that the Salamanders are not great melee combatants, the Skaven cannot take advantage of that because they can't be in melee with dinosaurs. Permanently broken those dudes. It'd be really great if we could get the Cold One Riders out of there. They're all tangled up on stuff, and I really, really want them to find a place where they can establish a good charge. Like over here, charging fleeing units to permanently break them would be a really good use for them. Alright, we're still working on their Lord. These units over here that broke and then are coming back are a problem. Okay, never mind, those guys are permanently broken now. Good chase. Never let up the pressure. Some of these units aren't permanently broken, and they're going to be a problem. As long as you keep the pressure on them, it keeps them from getting back into the fight. The assassin is still an issue. I'm going to have these guys turn around. This unit of skinks holding sharpened sticks should be sufficient for the task at hand. We can probably let those guys keep running. We definitely need to finish off this hero, because that hero is most of what's keeping them on the table at this point. Keep chasing those guys until they're actually gone. I'm trying valiantly to finish killing their lord. We could really use the morale effect from that to finish things off. Okay. I think they're all fleeing now? Yes. You know, I was really worried about the size of the Skaven force we saw there, but that was just embarrassing. Like, even if we had taken all three battles worth of losses all at once, it still would have left our army in, like, pretty good shape. These guys do not know how to defend themselves. And it turns out that red-crested skinks are one of the new units from the expansion. They seem very good. I like the fact that they're kind of fragile. That they're not. They don't seem like a very overpowered unit or anything. But they have a role. They do good damage. They distribute poison. You probably mostly want them to actually act as flanking troops because they're skinks, so they're fast. So you don't use them to hold enemies in place, but rather to hit enemies in the back. But while we're fighting enemies that are this soft, we can do that. Eventually, at some point, we're going to have like actual tough Saurus and dinosaur type troops that can hold things in place so that the red-crested skinks can hit them in the back. Found ourselves a shield. And of course another level up, as always. Now we occupy. Okay, that shield's alright. A little bit of extra melee defense I think is really good for him, actually. And we're high enough level now to get another Regiment of Renown, our first actual tough melee unit. And now that we have control of the entire province, we put up some public order. So the public order right now looks really bad, but remember, the fact that we've been conquering and burning stuff has really screwed things up. That provincial instability and that conquest modifier are just because of that. But now that the Skaven are gone, we're going to see the corruption trend back toward 100% untainted. So public order is going to be in a good place in a few turns. We'll be able to turn on taxation probably next turn, actually. And then we have enough population to level up one of these things. So let's level up one of these things. We have some money and stuff. We got ourselves a Skink Priest. Can we see, what does his magic look like? He is a Skink Priest of the Beast's Wind of Magic. He has access to Wissen's Wild Form, which buffs the weapon damage and armor of friendly troops. He can eventually summon giant crows to peck out people's eyes. That's neat. Make one of our units really fast and extremely resistant to damage. And to hurl a giant magical spear at people. That's cool. Sorry, what is an Ancient Stegodon Engine of the Gods? The Engine of the Gods is maybe some kind of siege unit that is pulled by an Ancient Stegodon? That's a pretty good reason to get out of the sky. At first I was thinking, like, dinosaurs are cool and everything, but why would we ever not want to fly? That might be a good reason, depending on exactly what the Engine of the Gods is. And eventually he can summon a Manticore. Okay, that seems cool. Well, let's move him up toward the army. We're going to be able to make some more progress on our quest toward our other legendary item, our fancy mask. And we still have a lot of money left over. Who wants to do stuff with money? If we upgrade this, it will give us another 5% income from this province. And again, this isn't doing anything right now because of the fact that we don't have any income here, but it will soon. When we turn taxation back on. We can get this going. Yeah, we made some good money here. Do we want to upgrade this again? It's another 90 gold per turn at a cost of 2,500 current gold. And do we have any other changes that we need to make anywhere else? We're still holding on here. We can keep taxation up on this one. Yeah, I guess we are just in a place where we're upgrading money buildings. Well, the upgrade from 1 to 2 gives the same amount of extra money per turn, but is cheaper. And then we're going to need a lot of growth in this province to level up all of these settlement buildings. So let's go ahead and do that. We could turn on taxation, so it's minus 12 right now. Next turn, we're going to lose the whole conquest penalty plus 1 point of the provincial instability penalty plus probably some of the corruption. But I don't want to go down to negative 90. Yeah, we'll turn taxation back on next turn. Alright, so let's get out here and try to meet some new people. It looks like the Pirates of Sartosa are not going to be willing to trade with us.
The Sea Father tasks me to destroy you.
Huh, why are we currently at 91 with them when all of their negative stuff only adds up to 51? That's strange. We use all of our movement. Is that guy as far north as he's getting? Yep, okay. There are some human nations up here that have some valuable ports that I'm hoping to meet, but apparently it's going to take another turn or two. So is there anybody else that we think we can establish trade with? I'm probably not going to be able to get there with these guys, and I don't want to give them a non-aggression pact because we are planning to be aggressive with them. Signing a pact like that and then breaking it is bad for your diplomatic standing the world over. Everybody will know that you have done that.
We may not be the Empire.
Alright, he's still not down with the trade agreement, but we'll get there. And we don't really want to try to set stuff up with Khemri because we're going to attack them. The Dune Kingdoms, we might attack them at some point. Would they do a trade agreement just straight up? I wonder if we could... we don't have anything to bribe them with, right? Here, I will offer them 100% of our money. I bet this is not going to change anything. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe we'll be able to get trade with them eventually. It looked like they were not into the idea of a non-aggression pact. Yeah, alright. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on them. We might be able to talk them into trading with us. And we get another skill point. Do we want... Well, we should probably take one of these, right? What exactly do these do? -1 turn for province, capital, and settlement buildings. Oh, only in the local province, though. But plus 2% income from all of our settlement buildings everywhere. That probably ends up being a pretty impressive amount of money eventually. -20% upkeep for Saurus units in this army. Probably not a thing that we're going to be using a lot of for him. Just remember, we want our Lord's army to be heavily flying units. Plus 5% speed and magic resistance. That's not super compelling. Plus 20% ambush success chance and plus 20% post-battle loot income. That is likely to be the one. Ooh, this is a huge boost to replenishment rate. It's very impressive. And this would give us plus leadership during ambushes, plus leadership for dinosaurs, and upkeep down for flying units and also dinosaurs. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of envision this army ending up being mostly flying units and dinosaurs. So there's definitely some value to this too. And a 20% upkeep reduction. Man. I think these last three are all very compelling. He's at plus 30% ambush chance now. This would take us to 50% above the base value of the terrain. So our ambushes would work like all of the time. That's very hard to pass up. And also all the money from post-battle loot. Yeah, I like ambushes a lot. You've probably noticed. We're going to take the ambush blessing. And let's go ahead and run one more sequence of enemy turns. And then we will leave it off for the day. I don't expect anything terribly interesting to happen here. That Knights of Origo ship is probably going to sail toward our port, I assume. I can't imagine what else it's going to do. But I'm also pretty sure it can't actually take the garrison at the port. It's possible they don't know that yet. You know what? I think the last time that they had an army over there to be able to see the port, it still didn't have the garrison building completed. So maybe they're sending that half stack over there thinking that the garrison is still just 5 units and that they'll be able to run it over. Well, if they want to separate from their land by a bunch to come over to our port, we can meet them at the port, kill them, grab the treasure that's in the water near there, and then sail over and take their settlement. That does leave our army pretty far away from Khemri. Maybe it would be smarter to fight off this little Knights of Origo army, set their military development back again, and then go and try to take Khemri. Oh, wait a minute. It is now owned by... Oh no, this is the Black Pyramid of Nagash. Okay, yes, Khemri is still owned by the Khemri. If it's still their only settlement, I think there's pretty good odds that the smart long-term play is to go over there and eliminate them and take it. But we'll want to smash the Knights of Origo Navy, because when they get over to our settlement and find that they can't destroy it, there's some chance that their other army will just sail over, and I would like to prevent them from being able to come over and take it. If we kill their half army, then there's no way they're going to be able to get it without spending a bunch more time building up. So it looks like Tilia, I think this one's Tilia. I can never remember which one's Tilia and which one's Estalia, but those are the two very rich human nations down here that control the ports, who we are hoping to become best friends with. It looks like Tilia is reclaiming their land a little bit. That's good, because that means they're still in control of their capital, which means their capital will be valuable as a trading partner. We especially don't want the Pirates of Sartosa to win this battle because they hate us, and we're going to have to keep having bad relations with them because we have to conquer Sartosa in order to win the game. And yep, they are indeed just sailing to Xandri. You can see there the moment when it came into view and they realized they weren't going to be able to win the battle. Jesus, that guy's named Mad Mulletson. And he's out there on a ship with a frost dragon and a whole mammoth, a giant mammoth. Why would you put those things on a boat? I guess that's where the mad comes from, huh?
To
So we know roughly what we're going to do here. I don't want to do a ton of stuff on this turn before stopping, but I am curious. Can we get a little bit of vision of the ports up here? So we can know what's going on. Okay, Miragliano, owned by Tilia, still totally exists. Are these guys willing to be friendly?
Are we foes yet?
We are trending toward a negative number. Can we be bros, though? Can we be friends? What if I gave you some money? How much money do I have right now? What if I gave you all of my money? Because if we can get a trade contract going with them, it will eventually pay off pretty big. You know what? We can worry about this when we come back. I think, for now, we probably ought to stop here. I am a little bit past out of time, actually. Thank you all so much for watching. Come back next time to see if we can maybe, finally, make some friends. And we'll see you then.